Age of Calamity is another Hyrule Warriors game, and when it was announced, I was worried that it would just be like playing another Warriors game for the 4th fucking time! But as we got to see more of Age of Calamity, I was excited as it looked far more polished than any Warriors game so far, and looked like it was doing more of its own thing. Especially with the story tying it in with this canon Zelda game, making it kind of less of a spin-off. Sort of. So you know me, when I think about anything to do with Breath of the Wild, I immediately think story. And when I looked at this game, which is supposed to be a prequel to Breath of the Wild, I was curious about its story and how it handles Hyrule 100 years before the Calamity. And with focus on a large number of cutscenes and storytelling, I had high hopes. After getting randomly announced on September 8th and released only 2 months later on November 20th, 2020, I quickly got my hands on this game, and let me just tell you, it was an experience. If you recall from my Breath of the Wild review, if you haven't seen that, go give it a watch. I said I wanted to see Hyrule and what it was like before the Calamity. So this gave me a lot of hope, and it truly delivered. I was able to run around Hyrule Castle Town and Akala Citadel, and those were locations I was really hoping to see, especially for this Zelda location enthusiast. Hyrule before the Calamity truly had a lot to offer, and even though I wasn't able to explore it in the open world setting I had dreamed of, the small doses we got were still enough to make this Zelda fan bust a Deku Nut. Speaking of Deku Nuts, music! Music is a huge staple in the Zelda franchise, and was practically non-existent in Breath of the Wild, except for a few doot-doots here and some ding-dings there. So I was genuinely surprised when I heard full tracks of music in Age of Calamity. I had no clue I missed having music so much. Some of the tracks aren't very memorable, but there are more than a handful of amazing tracks in this game. But to name a few that I really liked, The Knight Who Seals the Darkness is the theme that plays when Link pulls the Master Sword, and it is an amazing hyped up version of the main theme. And some of the original tracks of this game, such as Battle of Liberation and In Dire Need, are excellent tracks. Although the game was in dire need of some new music, the gameplay was right on the ball. The gameplay in Age of Calamity is actually the best out of all the Warrior games. Now, it's not all that different at first glance, but when you play it, you can feel how much more polished it is, with the exception of buggy camera angles and some of the characters feeling clunky to play as. Although, that could just be me and my playstyle not working with the character, in which I indulge you, please try out every character in this game. The combat felt like it took a lot of aspects from Breath of the Wild's combat style. And they added the Sheikah tablet and its abilities, which replaced the standard items that you get along in the way in the rest of the Warriors games. And they also gave you the ability to pilot the 4 divine beasts, which makes committing arson and light genocide feel right at home. Another thing I asked for on my to make Breath of the Wild better wish list was to see the characters more fleshed out, to see more of the champions and Zelda. And this game absolutely delivered on that wish too. Mipha's a fish that flirts more with Link. Urbosa is Zappy Zappy Mom. Falco is still an asshole, and Daruk is thick funny Goron. We got to see a lot more of these characters and their interactions with each other, with Link, and with Zelda. But this game also put the spotlight on other characters Breath of the Wild didn't at all. Young Impa is a weeaboo, who happens to be one of the best and most enjoyable characters in Age of Calamity. Then there's Master Koga, who I didn't think I'd like very much at first, but I found him incredibly comical alongside his right-hand man, Suga. The pair made for a great change of pace and were genuinely enjoyable and funny characters. But most importantly, the fucking tree guy! Whoa, hang on. Be warned, there are some serious spoilers in this game, so if you haven't played Age of Calamity, don't watch this video. If you don't care, please proceed, or if you've beaten the game, please proceed. But huge spoiler warning in this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy. Calamity introduced a new character, which was Nintendo's answer to Baby Yoda. We got Baby Guardian, which was Nintendo's new excuse to fuck around with the Zelda timeline. The game followed the prequel events exactly, right up until you nearly see the champions die, until the next generation champions step in and save them. And it was no longer a prequel, and it became an alternate timeline, which in the grand scheme of all things Breath of the Wild means that the latter half of this game means absolutely nothing! These events caused Age of Calamity to be no longer canon and created another timeline as if we needed more of those! This created a domino effect which played hand in sucking the life out of what could have been the most intense and morbid Zelda titles and giving a goddamn happy ending! Which isn't terribly bad, but it made me feel tricked because I was led to believe that this game was a prequel and that it would follow the events of the Calamity exactly! But no! Now I can listen to more Zelda fans going apeshit for more timeline theories! All jokes aside, the way this game was promoted, I thought it was fair to assume that this game was going to follow the events we saw through the memories in Breath of the Wild. But as soon as that baby guardian leapt through time, I was nervous as to what would happen to the story, and my fears came true. Since that was the moment that made this game an alternate timeline, and my Deku Nut shriveled up to leave a mentally blue-balled Zelda fan hung out to dry. But this isn't all bad. It has some positives. One of my initial worries was how limited the cast of playable characters would be. But with the time travel, this caused characters from the future to be playable. That being Sidon, Riju, Yunoba, and Teba. They even had some really unexpected characters, like the Great Fairies and King Rome. It was a genuine surprise to see this many characters in the game, and ones that I would have never expected to see by the end. They made for a total of 18 characters, which is a lot more than I anticipated. This game seriously caught me off guard with a lot of powerful moments I really didn't see coming. And to my surprise, the Baby Guardian, or properly named Teriko, was the root and cause of a lot of these powerful moments in the story. And they were enough to make a grown man cry! But that is to be expected of the character that literally created an alternate timeline in this game. Age of Calamity's final act had me in so much suspense, only to leave me disappointed by the incredibly underwhelming ending. But despite that, I enjoyed my time with Age of Calamity. It's not exactly what I would have hoped for or expected, but this game did so many amazing things, and being another Hyrule Warriors game, I wasn't expecting to be surprised at all. But it felt like it shook up the Hyrule Warriors formula that I had already played 3 times before, and added small little things to make this game feel fresh and new. But up until the very end, it held my attention and had me coming back to it. This game has some flaws, and glaring ones at that, but its strengths ended up being so much stronger, and made for an excellent experience for any Zelda fan. I give Hyrule Warriors 7 pizza slices out of 8.
Pizza time.
But some of the slices could use more toppings. I've been Linkachu. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Linkachu out.